You have 77 counties in Oklahoma. I can put reports in them in 66 counties.
911, what are you reporting?
We got someone or something crawling around out here.
Did you see what it was?
I'd say it was a person or somebody really big. But he's all in black.
Welcome back to Squatchranger Files, Episode 2. Don't forget, guys, you could submit your own personal Bigfoot encounter. Please send that email or message to squatchranger@gmail.com. That's coming across your screen right now. I had a great response this week. I had a couple of different people send in their Bigfoot stories, and they are very good. I can't wait to share them. We're going to start out with some stories from Oklahoma, and then later we're going to move on to the state of Washington. I originally said I only wanted stories from Oklahoma, Texas, Arkansas, Missouri, Kansas, and New Mexico, but I'm now opening it up to all states. If you are in any state in the United States of America, please submit your Bigfoot encounter. I'd love to hear it. Now for the show. Number 1. This story was submitted by the Southwestern and North Texas Bigfoot Investigations Facebook page. Go visit their page and give them a like. This evening, as the sun was setting, my wife and I went to the Wichita Mountains Wildlife Refuge. We decided to get out of town and go watch the sunset. If anyone knows the history of the refuge, it has had numerous reports of Bigfoots in the area. The reports go as far back to pre-settlers and white giants described by Native Americans, notably the Comanche tribe, who have called the region home for hundreds of years before any white man stepped onto the land. It is interesting to note that the natives called them white giants due to the fact that there is a large amount of sightings of white bipedal animals that are seen in the vicinity of the Wichita Mountains. The Wichita Mountains Wildlife Refuge is 59,020 acres, with public use areas on the refuge totaling 22,400 acres. The remaining 37,000 acres is closed to the public and for the exclusive use of wildlife. The general area that my wife and I were at this evening is off of Highway 115, coming out of Cache, Oklahoma. And if anyone knows the area, it is the turnoff to get to Lost Lake. The road goes on for quite a few more miles past Lost Lake and comes to an end with a recreation area with picnicking and hiking, but nothing beyond it for a good 10 miles. There is a good-sized stream that runs through the trailhead and is wooded with underbrush. As we were out walking around, we weren't going to hike, just getting out of town for the evening. We were at the picnic table scouting out where we might like to come back and have an enjoyable evening. I saw a trail and talked her into walking into the woods for a little distance. We were in no farther than 150 to 200 feet, and as I walked in front of her, not paying attention to anything but just talking, we came to an odd circle of grass that was pushed down. It was rather larger, at about 50 feet across. Then we decided to walk some more into the woods. As we were stopped at the grass circle, we made the observation that it was dead quiet. There were no birds or any wildlife at all. We kept on walking for maybe 75 to 100 feet on the path, and I was still in front of her talking. I looked to my left towards a small ravine, and just past that I saw something white walking. At first, it didn't register that I had even seen anything, and kept walking for about another 5 feet. I stopped and looked back at the spot, and I saw this thing walking. I would have to guess it was about 400 yards away, if not more. But I could tell that it was walking upright because I could see its arms swing, and it took a step. As I looked back, it was gone. I stopped and showed my wife where I had seen it. As we were standing there, just looking, I heard way off in the distance a howl, long and drawn out. I asked her if she heard it, but she didn't. I told her not to make any noise and just listen, because the woods were dead and it was easy to hear any noises being made. As we stood there for a few minutes, off to my right and straight ahead was a rocky ridge that went up for a few hundred feet. I began to hear what at first I thought were coyotes, but they didn't sound right. I have heard coyotes my whole life. It wasn't a yipping or howling, but an odd monkey-like sound. I couldn't see where it was coming from, but it was about 200 feet away up on the ridge. I could make out at least 3 different ape-like individuals making this noise, and they were getting closer. I asked my wife what she thought, and she had no idea. As that was going on, back in the area where I saw the white bipedal animal walking, we heard an odd bark-like noise, but it wasn't a bark. It is hard to explain, but it was as if an animal was making an imitation sound of what a dog should sound like. It came from where the animal would have walked to if it kept walking from the time I saw it. I asked my wife, "What is that?" She had no idea because it wasn't a dog or a bird. As it was making the barking noise, to the right, and the ape sounds were coming from the left suddenly, another barking-like noise came from my left, but from where the animal I saw would have walked from. My wife and I found ourselves in the middle of a triangle of unnatural animal noises. As we stood there trying to figure what was going on, they didn't have the feeling of aggression, but more of talking. For about 5 minutes, all 3 noises stopped at once. By this time, the sun had already set, and we didn't have a flashlight or anything. We decided to head back to the car and leave. The time was sunset. The temperature was 43 degrees. This happened on January 24th, 2018. Number 2. Movie theater sighting. My best friend and I were both in high school at the time. To this day, we still talk about it, but only to each other, because people think you are crazy otherwise. We decided to walk home after a movie because our ride home was running late. Big mistake that night. I don't remember hearing anything, just seeing the SOB running full speed at us. Yes, Bigfoot was charging us. Some say she might have been a mama with babies, hence her aggression. And no, it was not a bear. It was on 2 legs running at us. But when you are in that fight or flight mode, nothing but getting the F away matters. A cell phone or camera wouldn't have made a difference either. Our fear was beyond all fear known. We had a flashlight because we walked to the theater from her house. When we saw the beast, she threw it at me and ran like hell. I was gonna be the first casualty if it caught up to us. When I think back on it, she was my bestie and was so scared she left me there hanging. When I think about it now, laugh out loud. Her sister says we were on something or drinking, but we were not those type of girls. We never did any drugs, drank, or even smoked cigarettes. I can't even truly remember any specific details because it all happened so fast. I do remember seeing really long hair swaying back and forth while it was running toward us, kind of reddish brown. It was massive in size, probably between 7 and 8 feet tall. and it had shoulders bigger than a football lineman by far, and I watch football. His pace was not like a human's. It had this odd kind of side-to-side motion as he ran, but was very fast. Where we saw him used to be woods, but is now occupied by apartments. Everything happened so fast, and it was 35 years ago in Enumclaw, Washington, in King County. Number 3. The following is a BFRO report. Nighttime roadside sighting south of Woolaroc, August of 2009, in Osage County. Alright, me and some friends were camping out about 10 miles south of Barnsdall, Oklahoma, and we had to run some girls to Woolaroc to meet their ride. After we dropped them off, we headed back south to Barnsdall. We were driving and something caught my eye on the side of the road. I looked over and my friend was seeing the same thing. It was bent over in a ditch by a guardrail and was about 5 feet tall, squatted down. It was probably about 3 to 4 foot wide. As we passed it, it just kind of glanced over at us. This was happening around 1 a.m. that night. We were just blank-minded, and then finally decided to turn around and go back to see if we could still see it. But when we got back there, we couldn't find the creature. We went back the next day and could only find flattened grass. Well, right after we saw it, we got a phone call from the girls we dropped off. They asked if we were all right, and we said yes. Why? They said that an ambulance had just passed by, headed our way. We never saw that ambulance. Follow-up investigation report by a BFRO investigator. The following can be added to the report after speaking to both witnesses. The creature was squatting, but the height of the creature was greater than 4 feet in height in that position. The witnesses could see its head, but could not make out any facial features. The animal appeared to have an orange-colored eye shine. Its shoulders appeared to be about 4 to 5 feet wide. The creature watched the vehicle as it went by, turning its head as the vehicle passed. The creature was squatted like a person would squat down, not like a bear. They both stated that they would not want to see this creature again. They had heard of other stories in the area, but did not believe them until this incident.